Don Lemon is turning sour toward MAGA supporters. Independent journalist Don Lemon did sit down with HBO's Bill Maher over the weekend. His comments had the internet buzzing.
When I see not all black Republicans, but I see a black MAGA person who is carrying Donald Trump's water and they know that he's lying, it is the shortest line to the front. Because if you're black and you're whatever, you're just in line with a bunch of other Democrats that are doing the same thing that you're doing. But if you become a black MAGA person, it's like, whoa, let's book this person, let's put him on television.
So you don't think you can be a sincere black MAGA person?
No, I just said, I don't think that, I just said I think there can be sincere Republicans.
But you can't be a sincere black Republican?
I don't think that you can be a rational MAGA, be black and be a rational MAGA person. I think you can be black and be a Republican.
I think they would find that very insulting.
Well, I mean, the truth is often insulting.
The former CNN anchor also had a word for Trump's supporters as a whole.
And let's be honest. There's a huge faction of the MAGA movement that's really racist.
I wouldn't say huge, no. I'd say partly.
I would say huge.
Yeah, okay. Well, we have different perspectives.
I would say huge. And even if they're not, you have to overlook a lot of that in order to support Donald Trump, which I think is maybe even more egregious than just saying I'm a racist.
Many people blasted Lemon on social media for making these comments. News Nation's Chris Cuomo wrote on X, was he high? Research fellow at Heritage and contributor for The Blaze, Delano Squires, wrote on X, Don Lemon doesn't think rational black people can be pro-MAGA. That's quite a statement coming from a person whose party thinks men can get pregnant. Don doesn't realize it yet, but this type of cultural gatekeeping isn't as effective as it used to be. Assistant news director for Florida's Voice, Eric Daugherty, chimed in, writing, Don Lemon is racist. He personifies the 2025 Democratic Party perfectly. Yeah, we make fun of Don Lemon quite frequently on Rising. I don't think he honestly phrased his criticism of black Republicans there in a way that would avoid getting the kinds of criticisms he's getting. I think it's very patronizing to talk down to people that way and saying it'd be impossible to be a... Well, then let's say that for the sake of argument, okay, there's more racism in the Republican Party than the Democratic Party. That kind of reduces, though, then black people, I mean, Don Lemon was doing this, saying that's like the only issue they should care about is like how much rhetoric is in the party or the movement on this issue, which is very reductive and I think not useful or helpful. Now, I have no doubt that what really motivates this is that Don Lemon has been a figure of derision on social media for a long period of time and probably has people saying nasty things to him day in and day out, many of it ugly or even racist, and that probably affects his perception of how many truly awful people there are out there, and if you should frequently log off social media to escape that paradigm where you just think everyone is racist and ugly and evil and hates you.
Well, you should. Everyone should log off social media from time to time. I think that he phrased the thing about sincere support badly. I'm not unsympathetic to some of his broader views. I do think that there is and always has been a racist strain to the MAGA movement. There have been various instances of research being done about how closely support for Donald Trump tracks with attitudes of racial grievance. I am not saying that everyone who supports Donald Trump is racist. That obviously is not the case. It is also the case that Donald Trump improved his standing with black voters in 2024 compared to 2020 and compared to 2016. But I don't think that Don Lemon is wrong to say that white racial grievance played a part and plays a part in Trump's popularity. I'm not sure if I can cite this quote, maybe we can bleep it out if I can't, about Donald Trump referring to countries, which were countries in the Caribbean or in Africa. I think the references to black prominent critics as low IQ individuals, I think those often have a whiff of racism about them. Now, can you then be a black person and sincerely support Trump? I guess you can. I guess you need to look past a lot of that stuff or interpret it differently than I do and think whatever, perhaps you're socially conservative, for example. So I don't like the idea that someone.
Perhaps you're a small business owner and you think that there'll be ruinous regulations that drive you out of business.
No, absolutely. I'm not a fan of suggesting that anyone's race should dictate what they believe. But I think that there are legitimate concerns, at the very least, around Donald Trump's rhetoric and capacity to capitalize upon white racial resentment.
Do you think his rhetoric is unique? I mean, this is someone who says, yes, I agree, very bombastic and occasionally ugly or mean-spirited things about people he disagrees with or his political enemies or his rivals and enemies in the media. To my mind, he does that independent of color or gender or sexuality, and it has more to do with just people who are against him, and it doesn't betray a particular, I mean, obviously I can't know what's in his heart if he's a much older man than me, and racial resentment has been a part of this country. I don't deny any of that. But his rhetoric, which he's criticizing, is what is presented as evidence that he harbors some kind of racial animus, to me always just seems totally all over the place and not directed at one specific racial group.
Well, what about I won't repeat it because I don't want us to reuse the bleeper, but what about that comment about, I mean, how does it happen that none of the countries that he defines in that disparaging term are majority
He's trying to conquer
countries?
Canada right now. He's trying to...
Yeah, but he doesn't use that language about it. I mean, he says this stuff about it being that it would be better for Canada. That is not what he says about Haiti, for example. I think that it is completely valid to hold out the idea that he does, in fact, betray a racial animus. At the time of the George Floyd stuff, for example, he was citing that when the looting starts, the shooting starts, a statement that had originated with a frankly racist Miami police chief decades ago. So I think that kind of rhetoric does, in fact, betray a racial prejudice.
Do you think Trump... I didn't know the origins of that phrase. You're telling me that phrase has a racist origin?
Yeah.
See, I had no idea, and I suspect he didn't either. It's not... I don't think it's racist on its face. You shouldn't have said it. You shouldn't talk about shooting people who are looting, but then there's a racial... Like, are the people... Nowhere in that phrase is they start shooting the black people, unless you're presuming the black people are ones doing the looting, which itself would be a racist assumption. There
was not. These was at the time of the George Floyd protests, where the problem was not, in fact, widespread looting. The problem was people were protesting in ways that Trump disliked and wanted, as we now know, to have the military take action against people protesting the murder of a black man by a white police officer.
Oh, I don't know if widespread is the right word. There was a fair amount of vandalism and property destruction and burning and looting that took place. I mean,
but the point is, when he was phrasing that about the protesters, he was phrasing it about people protesting the death of a black man. It was protesting black protesters.
But it was more than just protesting. It was not. Not everyone engaged in the protesting was just in a civil fashion marching down the street waving signs.
No, right. But I mean, obviously, the argument there is, well, not everyone on January the 6th was having a civil protest outside the Capitol. Some of them were attacking police officers, and he pardoned all those guys who were, to my knowledge, all white.
Well,
or Latino.
Okay, but. I mean, Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys, is Latino. Again, I don't think you can criticize him for doing those pardons, as I have. I would not have pardoned people engaged in violence on January 6th. I don't think he pardoned them because they were white. He pardoned them because they are his supporters, which again, now we're trying to put a racial supposition on what is just he defends and protects and agrees with extending, which I'm not even defending this, but people who are on his side and does not feel that way about people who are not on his side. And it's independent of a specific racial agenda.
But the people who are on his side in that instance are overwhelmingly white. And the people who he objected to in relation to George Floyd were predominantly black.
Right, but that is not, it's not because he's trying to get it. I mean, I can't read the intentions, but it seems to me it's just they're on my side and these people are not.
I think that's a generous interpretation, but as you say, we can't look into his mind.
That does it for us today on Rising. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, now available anywhere you can listen to podcasts. See you tomorrow.